Alright, so then let's talk about the production part of this man that's in front of me. Now we talked about soul samples and chopping, right? What about your music when you produce speaks to your soul first? Is it the drums or is it the melody?
Drums.
Tell me why. Drums are the most important part of hip hop because I'm gonna take it back because hip hop is very West Indian in creation. But even before that, when Grandmaster Flowers was doing it before Kool Herc, it was very club, house, disco generated. You know what I'm saying? Like Love Is the Message, MFSB. You know that song?
Heard of it.
Okay, when you listen to Love Is the Message, you know what I'm talking about. And the drums are there because you got that boom, 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 like it's there, but you also have the melody over it. And even before that, hip hop is tribal. Like I said, West Indies, Africa, Brazil, capoeira. Hip hop is in martial arts. Hip hop is in everything, but most importantly, the first beat machine was your heart. Tell me why the drums hit your heart so much that you focus on the drum pattern first and then lay the melodies over it.
I just feel because with drums, it's the first thing I catch. Even when I'm listening to something else, like someone could play me a song from like Drake or Jay or whatever, and my ears gonna listen for the drums, like the drum pattern, like boom, 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 and not like the kick is always gonna grab me. If that kick ain't right, I was just like, the pad is just like I'm not gonna be feeling it. And then that's personally all I do, like even in that beat machine over there, like it's just drum patterns, and then I give it to my producers, Grant and my man Paul O2, and they do the sampling, the chopping up, the melodies, and all that. So the drums is just always gonna be my thing, but I'm gonna always give it to my guys, and they're gonna do what they gotta do with it. And they also can do the drum patterns as well, but I know, especially when I first learned engineering from my mentor, Khalil Lundy of the Force MDs, he actually really taught me certain aspects of like, okay, mixing certain things and instruments. So I know how to get a good bass, a good snare, a good kick, a good clap to make sure I can hit that ear. So that's one thing that really catches me.
And see, I'm like a hip hop nerd because I just love hip hop. Like I used to tell people, like I don't like hip hop like I used to. I really think today's hip hop,
new stuff sucks. Huh?
No, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say it sucks because there's great new hip hop artists that you probably don't know of that are incredible. That's better than people in the mainstream.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say hip hop sucks. I'm going to say the handling of hip hop sucks. Because there's great artists that we're going to introduce you to today, if you haven't heard them already, that you can listen to and you hear that these guys are incredible. You know what I'm saying? But as a person like a little hip hop nerd type person, sometimes when I listen to hip hop, I can hear the mistakes before I hear the joy in the music. You know what I'm saying? And I figure as a producer, there's certain things that you do too. Because one thing I've heard a producer say is whenever I hear a song, I hear how I would do that song better than the last producer.
I do usually, like when I hear certain songs, even today from certain artists, I'll be like, man, I could have flipped that a certain way. Or I think in my head like, man, how would I did that. I would add this or add this onto it, change this melody up and all that. But then again, it's just like maybe their way is how they really wanted it. So I'm just like, all right, like leave it as it is. But then I'm gonna go back to it with my guys and I'm gonna try and rework something with it. So that's all I could do with that.
But that's the essence of hip hop. I mean, even like, cause I like this talk right here we're doing because I always talk to MCs, but I really want to talk to people who craft music.
Yeah.
Now there's there's 3 different types of producers. There's trendy producers, there's composers, and then there are beat-driven producing. You know what I'm saying? So you got the people who just follow trends. Oh, just give me something hot like everybody else got.
Yeah.
Little brother used to call that Roy Lee. You know what I'm saying? Roy Lee would give people the beats.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just give me beats. Then you have the composers like a Dr. Dre, a DJ Premier, a DJ Mustard, a Pete Rock, Apollo Brown, Crisis. Like I could just go on and on. DR Period, Showbiz and AG and them. I mean, even DJ Pooh, Warren G, Suave House. Like I understand that hip hop is all over. You know what I'm saying? Ron Browns. Like, you know, there's great guys out there. And then you got the people that's beat driven. That's like, just make it heavy and let the guy who's rhyming carry it. Mm-hmm. So being that you produce and you rhyme, what advantage is it to you as an MC to be somebody who makes beats? And how does that make you a better rapper or MC?
Rhyming, well, that's the thing I want to clear up too. Like, I rap more than producing, I'll be honest with you. And when I'm in my production mode, when I'm doing drums, my first thought is just like, okay, how would I attack it? And then what am I going to hear? And then all that.
Y'all, the cat on to be in the interview, y'all. This is classic. This is classic. But go ahead, you rap more than you produce. So.
I rap more than produce, and it's just like, I just really know that when I'm in that drum pattern mode, I just know like what I'm gonna attack, how do I want it. But it's all about, honestly, you have to think in your mind like, okay, how do you actually want to structure the production first before you even do anything? That's something I learned from Just Blaze from watching one of his videos. Like, you have to know in your head, like you have to map out kind of like how you want it. It's like building a house to me. Like, you draw out the blueprints first and then you go to start building. That's how you should do it, in my opinion.
So then what talks to you more, writing from memory or writing to beat?
I want to say writing to the beat is a new method I started for my album, because when on the mixtape that you guys have heard, I would just write without, I'll be honest with you, like with that, I wrote to those songs without even hearing the beat. Like, I had different beats just kind of like scattered up, but I was just like, okay, like I'm gonna try and alter it. And then I was just like, oh man, like, a lesson learned, like how much it means to really write to the beat so you understand and you have a feeling of everything you want to do.
All right. Mm-hmm. So then, most great MCs, what they do, they write to a typical beat. Mm-hmm. Like, we're talking about drums.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with Public Enemy. It takes a nation of millions to hold us back. The Funky Drummer is one of those songs that a lot of MCs write to prep them for other songs.
So a lot of people have sampled those drum patterns.
Of course, because James Brown's is classic. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And even that, Nobody Beats the Biz, Eric B for President, those are beats that people have written to rock to their own songs. Mm-hmm. What inspires you to create as a writer, and what inspires you to get to the boards, and how do they go together as making you a complete artist?
My inspiration for rap, of course, came first before, and to get to the point of inspiration for production, to be honest with you, that came from actually going to school for it.
Okay.
Like, I went to Full Sail University for music production, and then linking up with the Force and D's, meeting Khalil, him also teaching me engineer how to hand, and then that, because I was just like, all right, knowing how to engineer honestly can help you go a long way within your music career, because you, at this point, you know how to do everything. You know how to compose a song, you know how to produce a song, you know how to engineer the song, you know how to mix the song, master the song, and you know how to do everything you want to do to get the song how you want it to sound. So when you know how to do everything like that, it kind of goes in your favor.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's leave the watcher on this part of your interview with this. What is the most fulfillment that you get as a creator with your music? Is it going through the process, or the finished process, or when people hear it and accept it?
I don't want to sound cliche, but it's honestly all three, to be honest with you. Because
explain to me why.
Why is because, like, when you're going through, like, first even getting the idea, you're thinking in your mind already, like, oh, this is going to be crazy, I'm going to kill it with this. And then when you're doing it, it's just like, and when it's starting to come to fruition, it's just like, oh, yo, like, when I'm sitting with one of my producers, I'm just like, yo, this is hot, or this is really going to be something. Then when the people hear it, they're just like, yo, like, you killed that joint, like, yo, that's fire, you know. So it's like, you're already like, yo, like, thank you, you know, just thank you. So you liking it already. So I feel all three are the ones that really do it for me. Yeah.